This is just a warning.
Mate, we can slate Jake Paul all we want, but he saved that card for excitement.
For excitement, I agree.
It was bad.
Mate, right now, I can't see your guy beating Jake Paul. I'm telling you now, I can't see your guy beating Jake Paul on the fights that he's done.
What's happened to the belief,
No, I'm
Bruce?
telling you,
You're
Jake
supposed
Paul,
to be believing Bruce, man.
Jake
Where's the
Paul is
belief?
an underrated. Now, I know he's a bit of a dick, and I know he irritates people, but it cannot be argued with. Out of the full YouTube scene, on the data that we've got on the fights that have been, he showed more boxing acumen than anybody else.
However,
else.
We'll let Ryan go first.
What I will say on behalf of KSI is what was put in front of him
was harder.
Was Logan Paul.
Yes.
And
Logan Paul can't box.
No, but the point I'm
he's a better boxer than someone that won a slam dunk contest.
If you look at what Nate Robinson,
amazing.
I was thinking the same thing. But what I will say is, in terms of Jake Paul, I was thinking the same thing in terms of ability, what we've seen.
Yeah.
But then you have to look at the Nate Robinson fight, and you look at the Gibble fight, and I do think that Logan is a big guy and probably a tougher test than those two. And also, when JJ fought Logan the first time, it was still very early. I think Jake's had we're looking at Jake a few years on now. We haven't seen JJ and Logan lately. So they're big
And that's
guys.
what I'm saying. On the fights that we've seen, it would be reasonable to say Jake beats KSI.
I don't think it's reasonable because the competition isn't comparable. That's what I would say. Because if you're gonna fight a guy that's had 4 months that's learned how to box, he's had 4 months to learn, right? The best thing that they could do to promote this guy as a fighter was say that he's won the slam dunk contest 3 times, which has nothing to do with anything.
Sure.
Right? And you got a guy that's been boxing for 2-3 years consistently. Can you really say that he's a great boxer? Like, can you
I'm
really
not really on about the actual performance of their opponents.
That determines how good someone looks. Is the
Jake's timing would be a problem.
Yeah,
based on what I saw from KSI. Would be a problem.
It's fair to say, Bruce.
And you're right to say about the opponents.
That's fair.
I think about the opponents, you're absolutely right. Just when I looked at Jake's timing, so Gibb was in there for 30 seconds or whatever it was. But the way and then he followed up with that right hand, mate. That was good timing. That was good speed.
Yes.
And the same thing with the basketball guy.
So
he has a
killer instinct.
Just off that, I think, wow, okay, he would cause KSI more problems than definitely anybody else in the YouTube scene.
Agreed. That's fair to say, because Jake has a killer instinct and his brother doesn't. When he sees that you're hurt, he wants to humiliate you. He wants to knock you out.
Yeah, and spiteful.
He has spite.
Yeah.
He has spite, and one thing he has is he wants to box. He's going through that phase. We all go through it. You go through it. You know, I go through it where we're in a wave of learning. We're in a wave of, I'm really happy doing this. This is great. And then you have a few knockout wins and it makes you go deeper into that belief of, this is for me. But people have to remember, when JJ put it out there, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, any of the Pauls, Jake was not interested, right?
Okay,
and that's why Logan stepped up and said, I'll fight you.
Yeah.
Jake wanted no part. He wanted to fight his little brother. So don't come back 2 years later because you've had a bit more experience now and start calling people out because you've got some confidence building period. JJ went in deep. He went straight in the deep end. He said, I'll fight you in Manchester, I'll fight you in LA.
No one can
People
take
don't
this
remember
away.
that.
No one can take it away from JJ. He will fight anyone.
Deep end, went straight in.
Yeah.
He's got dog, mate. He's got dog.
He said it's a draw in my country. Let me come to your country and beat you. You know, that's against an opponent who was boxing nearly the same amount of time, right? So now Jake's saying, okay, KSI, where are you? Where are you? We asked for you first. Only now you've built some confidence. You want to step up to the plate. So people that are not there from the beginning won't know these things. But these things should be taken into account.
But that's what I also think, as in, so factually right now, because of the, let's say, activity of Jake in the boxing camps that he's been through consistently, I don't know what JJ's been doing, but I see he's been doing a lot of things other than boxing. So with that almost total application from Jake, I think that is got to be advantageous to his performance against maybe JJ, who hasn't been doing it as long.
But when they do fight, it's going to be about a year from now probably. So that'll be interesting.
More than enough time. And I speak openly and say that before JJ goes into a fight with Jake, I'm going to tell him and make him have fights before that. Because I need to put my guy in the best position to win, right? And to put him in the best position to win is not to have him out the ring for 18 months, 24 months against a guy that's fighting every 6 months.
Yeah.
It's, of course, to make it more level, you need to have some fights in between too. We're not going to take nothing for granted. No one's got a big ego here, you know?
Yeah, that's what's impressed me.
And that's important.
Yeah, that's what it did impress me about Jake, is the appetite for fighting.
Definitely.
And the fact that he seems...
He likes to fight.
He seems desperate to get back in there. So there's talk about the Dylan Dennis fight coming up. I think they're going to try and make that potentially on the Mayweather-Logan card, which would be great.
Wow.
But it's... What impressed me about the wins that Jake had wasn't necessarily the knockout punches or anything like that, because anyone can hit hard when it's the calmness under the pressure that
he's a performer.
Yeah, so when Nate was charging at him, or when Gibble was right in his face, he didn't panic.
Yeah, the composure.
And I think that when I look back at I think when JJ was doing that to Logan, it really threw Logan.
He panicked,
and
yes.
I felt like that calmness that Jake has is something that if JJ does have those fights in the meantime, even if they're behind closed doors, which I'm sure they will be, that will help him a lot. You know.
So
what I mean?
do you actually disagree with my point that I made then?
I think
if they fight right now, Jake beats JJ. You think JJ beats Jake right now, like today?
The reason why I say yes is because there's one thing that JJ has, I felt personally, and I've seen, is power, right? And you don't ever write anyone off that has power. Yeah, I'm an honest person. My dad's an honest person. We hang around honest people, and everyone will agree that JJ's power is a problem, right, to anybody. Have we seen, was Jake as eager to get in the ring so soon after fighting Deji? Was he so eager? No, because it was actually a fight. It actually makes you think, hold on a second, I need some time out here. He wasn't as eager. I'm willing to fight any guy, knock out within 1-2 rounds. I'll fight next week. I'll fight the month after. You know, that eagerness comes from the fact that it's easy. When it's actually tough and your nose is bleeding, it drags 5 rounds, 6 rounds. Are you still as confident? And these things, I can't judge how good someone is until adversities hit them in the face.
It's kind of a good thing for JJ in a sense, though.
Yeah,
because what
it is
you
a
would
good thing.
want is that he can be quietly confident.
Yeah.
And Jake is the aggressor in a sense, and that he gasses himself, and then JJ steps in as like his reality.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, there's people out there that can work well off false confidence, or things that are
On top fighters.
on top fighters,
Yeah, sure.
as we call them, on top fighters. Do I believe Jake's an on top fighter? Yes. He hasn't given me a reason to believe otherwise. Right?
What does
But
that mean
I would
on top
say-
fighter? Just when it's
means
going your way.
Someone that can deal with things when it's it's all going their way. What I would say, Bruce, to be fair to you, is if JJ boxes Jake how he boxed Logan the second time, he will lose.
Yeah, correct. And
can tell you that.
that's what I was saying to Brian on,
Right.
on that there. But he showed dog and he showed fight.
And he showed-
But I
he
think he's
showed-
got a box more against Jake Vidal.
And I can 100% agree with you on that. He cannot box Jake Paul how he boxed Logan Paul on both occasions. He has to come better than that. And it's JJ's job, my job, the team's job to prove that he can make those adjustments and get the win.
Yeah.
But for you to sit down and say, I think Jake can beat JJ, are you being unreasonable? Of course you're not. But I'm never going against my guy.
This is just a warning.